got.
Well, good evening. I'm Rob Ferrani. I'll be doing a presentation this evening on Tesla. What I really wanted to know right away is what you guys already know about the company. We've already briefly discussed that. Really, let's take a look into the recent success. So Tesla over the last few quarters have sold more cars quarter over quarter than it has ever. It's also recently paid back a U.S. government loan. So it's fully funded on its own now. What we're going to look at are three main things for Tesla. First is its environmental impact and concern. Second is
Save the environment.
Save the environment. Second is how it's changing the industry. And third is the car itself and how it rides. So looking back at these two semi-recent, somewhat older cars, this is what electric cars look like over the past few years. Why did some companies get into making these? Well, it's really to a profit motive in order to draw more revenue in for their firms. A lot of them have failed. They weren't really efficient and they were very costly, and on top of that, they didn't have a very visual appeasing factor. So let's get rid of those and see what we're talking about. This is the Tesla Model S. This is the biggest selling car Tesla has. And this is what the whole presentation is going to be on for you folks. So what we have here is a picture of traffic, obviously. So when we look at the picture on the left, we're looking at smog, emissions from these vehicles. In March, it was estimated that Tesla has removed 12 million miles off the road because they don't use gas in any other cars. So they're trying to reduce some of those emissions out of the environment and trying to create a picture that's a little more environmental friendly. When I talked to somebody that's worked in the car industry for over 10 years, he mentioned that he drove a Lamborghini before, as he worked for a valet when he was younger. He said it was one of the coolest cars he's ever driven until he went out to Las Vegas a few months ago and drove a Tesla. I said, wow, that's mighty impressive. And I said, what car would you prefer to have? And he told me, you know, to be completely honest, I'd rather have a Tesla. So I was really shocked at that. So let's go look into the environmental impact a little further. Like I said, the car has no gas. It runs on lithium-ion batteries. These 140, 200, 265 are miles that can get to the battery charge, and this is on the low end. On the high end, you're actually looking at about 15 to 20% more, so the 265 will actually increase to about 300 miles per charge. The top of the Tesla vehicles also have energy cells on them. So as you're driving it, you're actually creating energy for the car itself. You also have to take into effect the environment we live in. We're very aware today of the greenhouse effect, carbon footprint, and all the emissions these cars are taking. When I talked to my interview person, he told me that the target market is actually huge for Tesla. It's people in their 30s, 40s, 50s that have a decent income and are looking to save the environment. This will really help drive sales moving forward for them. The stat down here is very informative. 10% of new cars in 2025 will be fully electric, and 40% will be electric and or hybrid, which is a mix of electric and gasoline. So some people out there believe that this electric car is a fad, that it's going to pass, but it's really not, and the industry is completely changing. So let's take a look into the changing industry for the competitors. First you have GM, and next you have Ford. GM has quadrupled its software engineer base over the last year to compete with Tesla. Ford has also begun hiring not as many, but close to the same number as software engineers to compete. Daimler-Benz and Toyota took a little bit of a different route. Daimler-Benz actually helped fund Tesla before it went public with a $50 million investment. And Toyota actually made a $50 million investment the day it went public on its IPO. They have working relationships with the bottom two to help them provide batteries for their cars. Next, we'll look at the refueling, which may or may not be a great word because there's really no fuel going into the car. But there's three ways you can power up your car. The first is through public stations, which are up and down most highways at truck stops and whatnot. These are all in hours, so you get, if you charge it for an hour, you get 22 miles at a public station. The 240 volt outlet will give you 31 miles. That's something you'd use in your own garage with the adapter. And then the supercharger is really where Tesla is innovative. There's about 50 of them across the country, and they get 300 miles at a charge if you charge it for an hour. They're really out in San Francisco and LA area right now. The closest one to here is in Delaware. But the infrastructure is being built from the ground up, and it's being built by Tesla. So what if you don't have an hour to waste? Well, Elon Musk, the CEO of the company, is this gentleman right here. He's come up with a plan to replace your battery within 90 seconds. The cost is roughly $60 to $80, which is the same thing that a gallon or a tank of gas will cost. It takes only about 90 to 95 seconds to replace a battery. By comparison, when you're looking at filling up a car engine, or excuse me, a car tank, you're looking at closer to 3 to 4 minutes. So let's move on to the car itself. Tesla's actually a terrific ride. It won the 2013 Motor Trend Car of the Year. It's the first winner not to have an internal combustion engine since they've come out with the award, which is 63 years. And like we mentioned earlier, they actually have 250 patents and counting, because they use a completely different supply chain to get to build the car as opposed to Toyota, GM, and the other large manufacturers. So what does Motor Trend really look at? It's looking at engineering excellence, advancement in design, efficiency, safety, value, performance, and the supercharging stations. Now you may look up here and see safety, 5.4 stars out of 5. They actually had perfect safety testing, and when the National Highway Transportation Commission wrote its report, it was much better than 5. They said, this is way better than anything we've ever seen, and they actually got 5.4. So to recap, we went over 3 things. The first was the concern for the environment. The second was the changing the ways the automotive industry operates and is looked at. And the third is, hey, we're still making a great car. So we might not be as far off from moving from this picture to this picture as we thought a few minutes ago. Thank you.